Hey everyone, and today we're going to talk about something new and different, and maybe something you haven't heard about before. But today we are going to talk about money. We're going to talk about money. Okay? So we're going to get started, and when we're talking about money, we're primarily going to talk about this one over here, the cents. We're not going to totally focus on dollars yet, but we'll get into that a little bit more this week. So the first coin I'd like to introduce you to, this is the penny. And this is what a penny looks like. It has Abraham Lincoln on what we call the head side, and then the Lincoln Memorial. Oh, this one's a little bit different. Hold on one second. This one had something different on it. On the tail side. Oh yeah, see this penny also has something, it looks like a little shield. I do want to show that to you. But pennies that we're primarily focused with, they have what's called the Lincoln Memorial. So it looks like that big building with all those columns. But this is Abraham Lincoln, and he's on the penny. And the penny is unique from all the other coins because this is the only coin that's like a coppery color. So it's this copper color, whereas like dime is kind of silver, a quarter is silver, and so is a nickel. So they're a lot different. And a penny is only worth 1 cent. Okay, so one penny equals 1 cent. So typically, how we write pennies, especially when we're practicing that in math, is we typically draw a circle and we put a P in it, okay? Or you can also draw a circle and put a 1 in it to help you remember that it's worth 1 cent. But if I had 2 pennies, and remember pennies are both worth 1, 1 plus 1 more is 2 cents. So 2 pennies is worth 2 cents. And then this is another way to write 1 cent over here. And this is called dollar form to write 1 cent, but we're primarily focused on writing it like this, 1 cent. Now we're going to move on to the nickel. And the nickel is a little bit different from the other silver coins because if you look at the nickel here, this has Thomas Jefferson's face on it, and it also on the edge. So I wanted to point that out to you. You see how the edge on the corner is kind of rough? Well, the edge on a nickel is really smooth. Okay, so the edge on a nickel is really smooth. So it has Thomas Jefferson's face on it, and then it has, I believe, what was called the Monticello, which is his house. So it's Thomas Jefferson's house, but this is called the Monticello, I believe. Oh yeah, it even says it on there. In really tiny lettering, it says Monticello. But yeah, so this is called the Monticello, and then this is a nickel. Now, as you can see on our slide here, a nickel is worth 5 cents. Okay, so that equals 1 nickel. And typically how we write nickel is we write it in a circle with an N, or you could write in a circle with 5 to represent nickels. Now, nickels are worth 5 cents. So if I had 3 nickels, that circle right there, those 2 circles are kind of tiny, but if I had 3 nickels, I'm going to count by 5s to figure out my total value of these nickels. So 5, 10, 15. So I have 15 cents. Okay, So that's counting the nickel. Okay, so that's 5 cents. This is the nickel. It's the one with the smooth edge. Okay, now we're going to move on to the smallest size. So as you can see, a penny is the smallest value. It's 1 cent. Then a nickel is the next smallest. It's 5 cents. A dime is worth 10 cents, but it's the smallest of the coins. So if you look here, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. It's so much easier if let me try. Hold on. So penny, nickel. Okay. So penny, nickel, dime. Dime is a lot smaller than both a nickel and a penny. And then if you look at a quarter, a dime is a lot smaller than a quarter. So it's the smallest in size. It has the rough edging on the edge, but it is the smallest in size. So it is the smallest in size, a dime. And a dime is worth 10 cents. So when you're counting dimes, you're going to count by tens, okay? So a dime is worth 10 cents. Now, this is Franklin Roosevelt, okay? So they often called him FDR, but Franklin Roosevelt. And then on the back is and I want to make sure I'm showing you because I'm looking at, oh, yep. So this is Franklin Roosevelt, okay? He's on the front of a dime, and remember, a dime's the smallest in size. And then it has a torch with some branches is on the tail side. So remember, the head side is the side with the head, and what we sometimes call tails is the side that does not have the head. So think of it like head and tail if I had a tail and I was an animal. But a dime is worth 10 cents. And we typically show dimes as a circle with a D or a circle with 10. Now, if I had 5 dimes, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, I'm going to count these by 10, okay? Because this is worth 10, this one's worth 10, this one's worth 10, and this one's worth 10. So I'm going to count by tens. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So 5 dimes would be worth 50 cents. Now there's another way to write that 10 cents. It's over here, but remember, we're primarily focused on the cents sign. So that is the dime. It's the smallest, it's worth 10, and it has FDR on the face part, on the head. And then a quarter, and I want to make sure I get an old-fashioned quarter. If you ever notice with a quarter, like, and I'll show you this one, there are quarters, and this is one too, that have other tails because, man, I have a big jar of coins. If that's what you're wondering what I'm reaching into, I'm trying to find an old-fashioned quarter. Oh, I think I found one. Yes? No. Yes. Oh, here's one. Okay. So, and I'll show you those other ones, but the quarter, okay, so the quarter is the largest of the coins that are in common currency. And you'll hear me say that a couple times, but common currency just means that you would use these 4 coins typically every single day. Where there are other coins like half dollars, silver dollars, there's something called the Sacagawea, the $2 bill that was out there in circulation years ago, but we don't use those typically. So I think some places still accept them, but we don't typically use them every single day. So we typically use pennies, dimes, nickels, and quarters. So this is a quarter, okay? So it's the biggest out of the common coins that we use. It has George Washington on it, okay? So it has George Washington, that's George Washington's face. And then on the back, on the tail side, it has a bald eagle. So it has George Washington's face on the front. He kind of looks a little bit like he's has like fluffy hair next to his ears. And then this is the bald eagle. Now, what I was saying with some of these other quarters is, I think they just started this a couple years ago. I might have been in college when they started it, but they started doing quarters with like different tails, so with different backs. They had ones that represented every state. They had one that represented every capital. So like this one right here, this is a quarter still. This has George Washington on it. This is still a quarter. But on the back, this one represents the state of South Carolina. So still a quarter. I know it doesn't have the bald eagle, but they do have some of these in circulation. So I don't want you to be confused by that. And I think I forgot to mention that to my students this morning. But so then like, see, this is still a quarter. Here's George Washington, but then this tails is for the state of Arizona. So just some different ones that are in circulation, and I don't want you to be confused, but like this one's a new one. This one's 2020, but this is also a quarter, and it says $quarter because it's 1/4 or 1/4 of a dollar. So there's 4 quarters that make a dollar. So 4 quarters make 100, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But so this one represents a national park. So it's a bat, but something new in circulation. Oh, and I actually had it upside down. I apologize. Okay, so there's some that have different tails, so I don't want you to be confused by that. But a quarter is worth, oop, I'm using the wrong pen tool, you know. A quarter is 25 cents. And it shows you how to write it here, but then it also shows you how to write it here in dollar form. And how we typically write quarter is we draw a circle and we put a Q in it. And then, or sometimes we'll draw it and we'll put the 25 in it to help us remember. You do want to make sure that when you're drawing that your proportions are correct. So like you would want, if you're drawing a quarter and a dime, you'd want to help you remember that a quarter is bigger than a dime. But say I had, so a quarter is worth 25, okay? 1/4 is worth 25 cents, okay? 2/4 is worth 50 cents, because 25 and 25 is 50. Okay, so this right here now, 2/4 is 50 cents. Okay, so 2/4 is now 50 cents. If I had 3/4, okay, that's 75 cents. And we did talk about this morning. This is 75 cents. 4/4 would then be 100 cents, but we typically don't say 100 cents. We typically transform that 100 cents into $1. So that means I have 4 quarters right here. I have 2, I have 50, 50 cents, and 50 cents, and 50 cents and 50 cents. 2 together, 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4 equal $1. Okay, so 4/4 equals $1. So kind of like, I do want to bring this up, kind of like, remember when we were partitioning a rectangle and I was asking you to partition it into quarters? Okay, pretend this is a dollar bill. Okay, this is a dollar bill right here. Okay, I know I'm not the neatest colorer right now. So this is a dollar bill. Okay, 4 quarters, 1, 2, 3, 4, make $1 bill. So this equals $1 and 25 cents. Okay, so 1/4, 25 cents, 25 cents, and 25 cents. Okay, they're all a quarter. We talked about this with partitioning. 4 quarters equals 1 whole or $1. Okay, so it's another way to think about it. Now, something else I do want to talk about is comparing values of things. So obviously when we're talking about a penny, okay, a penny is 1 cent. None of the other coins can go into 1 cent because they're too big. So you can't have 1 dime equal 1 cent. They're not the same because a dime equals 10 cents. Okay. Then, I apologize. Then, if we're looking at a nickel though, okay, a nickel is 5 cents. So if 1 nickel equals 5 cents, it's the same as this right here, 5 pennies. Because 5 pennies would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cents. So 1 nickel also equals 5 pennies. Okay. Now remember, this is an intro. Okay. Your activity today shouldn't be too difficult, but I understand if it is tricky because this is all new. So don't worry about that. And I do have office hours today, so if you need to pop into those, come on down and join us. Now for a dime, okay, a dime equals 10 cents. So if a dime equals 10 cents, it's the same as 2 nickels because a dime is 10 and 2 nickels are 5 and 5 plus 5 is 10, 5, 10, okay? It's also the same as 10 pennies because remember, if I have 5 pennies, that's 1 nickel. If I have 6 pennies, that's 6 cents, okay? So pennies are worth 1, so it's the same as counting by ones. Nickels, you're counting by 5s. Dimes, you're counting by 10s, okay? And we know some place value. But you could have also done a dime equals 1 nickel, which is 5, and then 5 pennies, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it could have been the same thing there as well. Now for a quarter, okay, because a quarter is worth 25 cents. So a quarter is worth 25. So a quarter could be 25 pennies, but it could also be 2 dimes and a nickel. Now the reason it can't be 3 dimes is because if I counted 3 dimes, 10, 20, 30. Well, that's more than 25. And if I only did 2, 10, 20. You can't do it because it's not divisible into 25. So you have to do it like this is 10, 10, and then 5. So 10, 20, 25. Okay. You could also done 2 dimes and 5 pennies. You could have done it this way as well. You could have done by 5s. 5, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So 5 nickels. Also, it's hard to count, think, and write all at the same time. But 5 nickels, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Okay, so 5 nickels goes into 1 quarter. Okay, you could have also done something like 10 dimes, 2 nickels, and 5 pennies. Okay, just so the total value is 25 cents. Now, I do want to talk to you all about your activity today. So, give me 1 second. Oh, there it was. Okay. So for your activity today, what you're going to do is you're going to be writing it in cents. Okay. You are going to, on page 1, you're going to count the value of each of the coins and then write the value on the lines below. So let's do this one together over here. Now the values of each coin with the picture is on here for you to help you. I think I added anchor charts to the other lessons, but I'm not. I'm going to check that today. I'm not sure. I'll check that today and make sure that you always have access to the values, or I'll post like an anchor chart on the announcement page or something. So these are dimes as it looks like. So I'm going to help myself count. I'm actually going to write on the coins what each one is worth. These are dimes, they're worth 10. And then these are pennies and they're worth 1. Now, it's most important to count with the largest value first because it's going to be easy. So we're going to count 10, 20, 30, and then we're going to count by ones, 31, 32. So this value is worth 32 cents. Now, I do want to point this out because I did even notice in some of your work already. Be careful with this one here. This is a quarter, okay? This is a dime, and this is a nickel. So be careful with the values up here. So that was a little example. Same thing here. This was a nickel. This was 5, 10, 15, add 1, that's 16 cents. Okay. Now for page 2, what you're going to do, and we're going to do this one up here together. What you're going to do is you are going to move the coins to make the total of the value that's in the little box there. Now, it is important, okay? It is important that you try to build with the other coins. Basically, you want to try to use the fewest amount of coins as possible. So you want to have the fewest amount of change hanging around in your purse or your wallet or your pockets. You don't want to be walking around with, 180 pennies, okay? You want to consolidate that into the smallest amount used. I'm not saying the smallest value. I'm saying that if I was making the number 28, is it smarter to use 28 pennies, or is it smarter to use 1 quarter and 3 pennies? It's smarter to use 1 quarter and 3 pennies because you'll have less value in that little box. So for example, 28, I know 25 is less than 28. So I know this one is worth 25, and I'm even going to write 25 on that coin. Now I need to get to 28, so that means I'm going to add. Okay, I'm going to add in my head, count up to 28. Okay, so 25, 26, 27, 28. Well, I don't have anything worth 3 cents total, but I do know that if I added 3 pennies, 26, 27, 28, they're each worth 1. Okay, 26, 27, 28. Now, same thing here, okay? Is it smart to use 50 pennies? No, your pants would weigh down to the floor, right? Now, there's a couple different ways you can do this one. I'm going to use dimes, okay, and count by tens. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Okay, and I could double check. 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. Okay, so that is worth 50 cents. You also could have used 2 quarters. You could have used 4 dimes and 2 nickels. Okay, 10, 20, 30, 40, 45, 50. Okay, so there's a bunch of different combinations you can use. I do have office hours today and Friday. So if you need any extra help with math, because I know math is new and complex and difficult, and counting the coins has been tricky. So if you need extra help, please, please, please pop into those office hours. I'm more than happy to help you. I hope this gave you a better understanding of how to count with money. Make sure that when you're writing like 50 cents, you write it with the C and the line through it. You're not writing it with the S, that's dollars. So we're only focusing on the cents with the C and the line through it, okay? Thanks so much for joining me, friends, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.